Hello everyone, here's Massa from Coinex. Coinex is a blockchain investment firm based in Hamburg, and we make it possible for everyone to have exposure to digital assets. Today here I am at EthCC in Cannes, the biggest Ethereum conference in the world, and I have Mike right next to me from Expo. So last year I had the opportunity to meet Amin, the founder of Expo, and it's really great to see another team member of Expo here at the location. We invested at the project last year, and we're looking forward to all the future milestones that they're going to achieve. So Mike, it's great to have you here.
Great to be here. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Can you tell me a little bit about yourself? How did you end up in the blockchain industry?
Yeah, I can do that. It's a bit of a windy road, honestly. I made my first kind of like investments without knowing what I'm doing whatsoever in like 2016, 2017, and then that went to zero, so I kind of like laid it down for a while. And then I was doing my master's in environmental resource management, of all things. I got really into like renewable energy and the kind of like new kind of energy grid that we'd need for that, because like the current energy grid is like a one-way high street, right? You have like one centralized generator, and that provides like through a highway, one-way highway, electricity to all the houses. And now with the emergence of renewables, you have like solar panels and windmills and batteries, and it's like no longer a highway. It's like you have all these different connections coming in, and this is causing like great bottlenecks in like the capacity of energy grids. And so I was like, well, maybe blockchains could be a solution for this. So that's what I decided to write my thesis on. I started looking into like companies that were also interested in this. I ended up with Shell. Shell was at the time doing a lot of blockchain research and experimentation, and so they helped me a bunch in writing my thesis. And afterward, yeah, I ended up in the Shell blockchain team. So that was a really interesting and fun experience. I can actually say that Shell has launched and is looking at some amazing blockchain applications. So it was like a great way for me to get to know like the real institutional side of this. Fast forward like 2.5 years, I had proposed a bunch of solutions to the different Shell businesses, and the feedback that we got was very often similar in the sense of like, this is a fun project, this is a good project, we can actually see this being profitable as well. However, why would we as a company ever do anything publicly on public blockchains? Pretty soon you identify this gap, like, hey, in order for like blockchain adoption to become real, widespread, accepted among institutions, we need privacy. We really need privacy. That's basically when I was talking to Amin, who was obviously involved in Moloch DAO, through which he has some ties to privacy already, and then he founded Privacy Pools himself. I decided to go on this crazy adventure with him, basically. So it's a bit of a weird and windy road, but here we are, very happy to be here.
Yeah, the road is definitely bumpy. It's not easy for everyone in this market. And I think if we want to move forward to the mass adoption, we definitely should find synergies between different industries and blockchain, like as you said, renewable energies and blockchain and many other industries. So the experts in all industries, if they try to grasp a little bit of knowledge about blockchain, we can definitely get closer to mass adoption. You mentioned privacy pools. Can you tell me a little more about Expo Privacy Pools? What exactly is this project focusing on?
Privacy Pools V1 in like its core essence is a follow-up of Tornado Cash. Obviously, Tornado Cash has set quite a precedent in the privacy space, and I think has made for a long time a lot of builders scared to work on privacy. And so basically, as soon as that entire saga went down, we decided, or Amin decided, hey, we can do a privacy pool, which is what Tornado Cash was, but compliantly. You know, we can design it in such a way that we can keep bad actors out. So he wrote a research paper together with Vitalik and Chainalysis about how to do privacy pools compliantly. That is what Privacy Pools V1 is.
Nice. Yeah, I've heard that Vitalik is also supporting your project. That shows that you are really bringing value to the Ethereum ecosystem.
Yeah, he was our earliest investor. We're very happy to have him on board, and his support has been instrumental.
Nice. We're also glad to be one of the investors. When was the exact moment that the idea of Expo was born? Has Amin mentioned anything regarding that?
Yeah, definitely. So this was, as I said, right after the Tornado Cash verdict, by the way, basically. Amina has always realized how important privacy was, and Tornado Cash obviously was great in what it did in providing privacy to users. It was not so great in the fact that it didn't have really any control mechanisms, which unfortunately led to the project being abused by a lot of like hackers, scammers, people that wanted to launder their funds. As soon as that happened, as I said, the white paper for privacy pools was written. That was really a response to that verdict, to that entire saga that went down basically. The goal for privacy pools is to have a compliant privacy protocol, and I think if you like fast forward 2-3 years to where we are now, I feel like every privacy protocol is now building compliant privacy. I feel like our thesis is largely validated. We're on the right track. We're releasing privacy pools v2 this week on testnet. Yeah, I'm excited for what's to come.
So I did an interview with Amin 9 months ago. Has any new updates, advancements, partnerships happened regarding your project in the last 9 months that you want to share?
Privacy Pools v1 is to some extent quite a basic mixer. It allows users to deposit and it allows users to withdraw. The functionality is fairly limited, where the novel kind of like this is exactly what Tornado Cash did as well, right? And they launched back in 2020. The privacy tech isn't necessarily new. Where the innovation comes from is the compliance tech that we've built on top of it. So the ability to exclude bad actors from the protocol once they deposit, and so they do not gain any privacy from using privacy pools. That has been live for like a year or so now. Yes, around a year. In the meantime, we've used that time to validate, like, does our compliance mechanism work? We believe it does. It works very well. And so what we've been building in the meantime is Privacy Pools v2, which I think is where the real exciting innovation comes in. So that is where, like, now we're actually trying to build the best privacy protocol in the market as well, So we're releasing that on testnet this week. I'm super excited for it. It's going to have a lot of cool features, all the bells and whistles that you could wish for in a privacy protocol. I'm hoping it's going to make a wave.
We're also very excited to see what the future holds for Oxbow and for the privacy pools. Bearish or bullish in 2026?
I'm always bullish.
Okay.
Even when the markets go down, I'm still bullish. I look at the long-term vision.
Exactly.
I think trading on smaller time frame is incredibly hard and difficult, and I personally am not very good at it. I believe in the long-term vision. I see the adoption. I see the pace that the industry is picking up and the adoption that we're creating. Yeah, I believe in the long term. It's just a matter of time until we catch up. Prices will start reflecting that.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Looking at the wide picture is so much more important than focusing on some small periods when the market comes down. And even if it comes down, that's good. I mean, I personally get excited because it's time to buy more, right? To invest more.
Heads down building, that's exactly what we're here for.
Is there anyone else in the market that's doing exactly the same thing that you're doing? Can you name some of your competitors?
We're definitely not the only people building privacy tooling. If you look at actually privacy on Ethereum, Tornado Cash is still the biggest by far, so it is really a testament to what they built back then. They still have something like 450 million TVL, which is like an insane achievement for people that haven't been able to work on that project because they've been, well, sued and in jail. I can't go ahead without giving them a quick shout out. Then we have Railgun, who are also privacy OGs. I have a lot of time for whatever they're building, and I know they're coming up with a bunch of innovations as well. So Railgun is definitely one of the more interesting protocols out there. We see a wider shift, right, of like all these different chains trying to create their own spin on privacy. So we had like Starknet releasing Stark 20 recently. Obviously Zcash and Monero are privacy chains that have been around for the longest time. It's a crowded space. I think through our compliance mechanisms, we carve a nice little niche in the market for ourselves. What I'm mainly excited about, honestly, is the privacy market as a whole growing. Currently, like less than 0.01% of traffic on Ethereum is private. You can basically say 0% of the traffic on Ethereum is private. Our goal is to grow that market. We want to get it to 1%, and we want to get it to 5%, 10%, 20%. I feel like, we have such a large total addressable market that there's room for many, many players. I think a lot of the players in the privacy space are going to thrive as the tech improves and gets more adoption.
I personally believe that there's actually no competition in the market because we have a huge market. There is a huge need for so many protocols working hand in hand next to each other, shoulder by shoulder. and we all push together towards the mass adoption. If you had 1 million euros to invest, where would that money go?
As I told you, I'm a hodler. I'm not necessarily a trader. There are some things that I am excited about. I think what was actually recently announced during EthCC here was the Gnosis Economic Zone. I'm a big fan of the work that Gnosis does. I think they build a lot of the core infrastructure that we as an entire industry use. So I've always been a believer that it's just a matter of time until value accrues until there, but I haven't been fully validated in that so far. Then Ethereum, obviously, Bitcoin. Hell, if I had 1 million euros, I'd probably even buy some Sol. Yeah, I'd probably go for a bit of like a widespread portfolio of a bunch of different things, but I would definitely have like an emphasis on teams that are shipping like real infrastructure, you know?
You mentioned both Ethereum and Solana. If you had to choose between one of these chains, if you had to choose just one of them, which one would you choose? I
would have to go for Ethereum still, yeah, I have to say. Obviously Ethereum has its own kind of like ups and downs and dramas and little quirks going on, but I feel like the mandate that they released recently kind of like lays it out, right? Like Ethereum stands for crops, censorship resistance, open source software, privacy, security. I mean, that aligns very well with my own personal values, and I think in like the crazy times we live in, these things are only going to become more important, and you're only going to see more and more people flocking towards these kind of ideals. I'm a big believer in Ethereum, so I'd have to go for that.
I totally agree. Even we at CoinX, we totally believe in Ethereum. Most of the projects in our portfolio are either getting built on top of Ethereum or they are offering scalability solutions for Ethereum. So I think you're right.
No financial advice though.
No financial advice. What do you think is the next big category?
Privacy.
Privacy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
we have so many exciting things coming up in the privacy space. I mean, one thing that I'm particularly excited about is the Kohaku SDK. So that is essentially an SDK by the Ethereum Foundation for wallet providers specifically. And so what they're trying to push is for people to have a public balance in their wallet and then like a little tab which allows them to go to their private balance. As I just said earlier, like currently only like less than 0.01% of the traffic on Ethereum is private. I think once people can choose privacy for one click in their wallet, people are going to choose for it. People do like privacy deep down, and if it's as easy as just pressing one button, yeah, I think we're going to see huge growth in that sector.
Which category do you think is going to die out in the next 2 years?
Are meme coins already dead? Can I say meme coins?
Yeah.
I think we're going to see the end of this kind of like wild fluctuations from coins that really don't present or build anything, going to a few $billion market caps and then crashing right back down to the floor. I hope personally we're going to see the end of that. I've never been a big fan of it. I hope we get to have a little bit of a reshift into focusing on what's important.
Indeed, yeah. I mean, meme coins attracted a lot of attention in the few years that we have passed, but I personally believe that we need to focus on infrastructure and real value. Meme coins don't really bring any value in the market, and people just focus on them for the rises and drops and to get profit, which is not what we're actually looking forward to achieve in the crypto market. So many people have lost their hopes in the crypto market and they have given up. What motivates you to stay in this industry?
It comes back to like the core values, right? Like permissionless networks, decentralized networks, trustless networks. These are all very, very important properties, and the crypto market has obviously had its up and downs, and especially for like investors, I think it has been an incredibly difficult space to navigate. But if you just look at the core tech of what is actually being built here, it seems inevitable. I'm still a big believer in the same things as that I was in when I initially joined the space. Like, I still believe to some extent that smart grids should be running on blockchains because they're incredibly efficient. I don't know if we're actually there yet from a technical perspective, but I do believe that is the end goal. I mean, it makes a lot more sense to have one shared state amongst many participants rather than having all siloed databases and hoping that what your provider is telling you is true.
Exactly. I think some of the people who entered the crypto space, they just want to get rich, and when they see the bear market, they ran away. But people who are actually building, people who are actually creating something valuable in the market, which is going to be used in the financial infrastructure of the future, they won't give up. They're going to stay, they're going to keep on building.
absolutely.
Is there anything else that you want to share with our audience?
I think the do your own research part is still very important. Find what your values are and how that translates into specific tech, because if you look closely, it really does. Become an active participant. Even if you're not building anything, you can still help making this industry better by using products, by providing feedback, by telling us what you like and what you don't like. And we listen and we improve our products based on that. So yeah, be an active participant in the space, make transactions on any of the networks, keep being curious about what's being built. I think that is really the main takeaway for this entire space. Stay curious.
We're looking forward to all the future milestones that Privacy Pools and Oxbow is going to achieve. You will find all the information, the website of Privacy Pools and Oxbow in the description. Check out their website. And thank you, Mike, for the interview.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.